evening, everyone. It's 6 p.m. July the 6th, 2021. It's time to call the city council meeting to order. Ms. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Austin?
Here.
Mr. Blankenship?
Here.
Mr. Buchan?
Here.
Ms. Jones?
Here.
Ms. McGinnis?
Here.
Mr. Rangerson?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Sir, we have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Tom Moore, would you lead us in prayer and pledge, please?
All right, let's open an order of prayer. Father, we're just so grateful to be able to be here, and we're just, as we look into the business of the city here in Franklin, I know my family's recently moved here, and we just enjoyed, Lord, the parks and just even the streets and everything as I was driving down here today, and just thinking of all the work that goes into making this a great city, and really it comes from the people. Father, we just think of those that are elected that are representing us here tonight as they're looking into being good stewards of the people's money. Father, just guide and direct them. We think of each of them individually as their families, as they're leading them, as well as the city. Just protect them and enable them to do what you would have them to do. Help us all to be able to freely go to you for guidance and for prayer when we need to. Father, we just once again are grateful for the opportunity to look into the business of the city and the great people that live here. We pray this in our Father's name. Amen. Stand for pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for being here today. Is there any announcements, presentations, public comment that's not on the agenda? Hearing none, we will go on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second by Mr. Taylor. All those in favor?
Aye.
This is to old business.
Move to old business by title only.
Second.
Second by Mrs. McGinnis. All those in favor to read old business by title only?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. Item number 1, Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 21-16, an additional appropriation grants, Johnson County RMC, Police AED supplies $4,975. I think Deputy Chief Scott Summers.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Mayor. As we discussed last time, Police Department was awarded a grant from the Johnson County RMC in the amount of $4,975. We're just asking for that appropriation to go into Police Department.
Okay, this is open for a public hearing. At this time, is there anyone from the public that would have any question or comment for Mr. Summers? I seen your hand raised.
I'm sorry, there's somebody else. She was waiting. So.
Okay, so at this time, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and be ready for action if anyone doesn't have any questions for Mr. Summers.
I make a motion to approve Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 21-16.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Jones. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll go on to Common Council Ordinance number 21-13, and ordinance declaring dormant funds. Clerk Treasurer Jane Rhodes.
Yes, sir. This was brought before you last meeting. We have 2 funds that have a 0 balance, and as part of our housekeeping, we would like to declare those dormant funds and get them out of our books.
And also, this one is for public hearing, so if someone has a question for Clerk Treasurer, now's the time. Hearing none, public hearing is now closed. So we're ready for action.
Move to approve Common Council Ordinance number 21-13.
Second.
Second by Mr. Austin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll go to item number 3, Common Council Ordinance number 21-14, approving a resolution of the City of Franklin Plan Commission and annexing certain property contiguous to the Franklin corporate limits to be known as Kingsbridge annexation. And another item would be also Common Council Resolution number 21-24, approval of fiscal plan. Senior Planner Joanna Myers.
Good evening. This was introduced at your last city council meeting. Tonight it is for public hearing and then also review and adoption of the fiscal plan. The annexation was heard by the Plan Commission at their May 18th meeting, and they have forwarded a favorable recommendation by a 10-0 vote for the annexation. It is approximately 33 acres and is located immediately west and south of Millwood Farms, south of Park Forest in the town of Whiteland, and immediately east of the Brewer Ditch. Dustin Hiddleston is here representing the petitioner for the public hearing portion. Just also to note that in the calendar for the adoption, instead of it being able to be adopted at the July 19th meeting, it does have to go to the August 2nd meeting due to Indiana code stating that there has to be a minimum of 14 days between public hearing and then adoption. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Hiddleston.
So at this time, we're going to open this up to public hearing. So Mr. Poston will be the presenter, and Ms. Gregg, can you kind of elaborate on the rules if it needs to be in place?
Well, sure. I think, and Dustin, you're going to make a presentation. He will address that in his initial. This comes to you with recommendations from the Planning Commission, as Joanna said, favorable or unfavorable. We will have a public hearing on 2 parts to it. And essentially the annexation. There were a lot of details discussed at the Planning Commission that really aren't part of that parcel yet until the site plan types of things and those kind of nature. So it goes back to the Planning Commission once it is annexed in, if you think that's what your decision is, as well as type of zone. And then we'll go back to the Planning Commission for those types of details. So with that, Dustin, do you want to present anything to the board?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Good evening. As stated before, I'm Dustin Huddleston, attorney for the petitioner in this project, Platinum Properties Management Company. With me tonight is the president of the petitioner, Paul Rio, who's the developer of the project. Present to you an exciting project for the city of Franklin. It does have an annexation component and also a PV component that will come later to you. I'll discuss an overall concept and specify the annexation part as well. Where are we at? So you get an idea, sense of what we're talking about. If you look at the map on the projector, it shows the highlighted area in yellow to the north on 31 north of the city, which is just south of the Millwood Farms addition. There's 2 parcels. The smaller parcel to the west is the predominant annexation area that will be annexed into the city that we're proposing tonight. The balance of the project is the other parcel that goes all the way to US 31. If you look at the next slide, it's a little bit detailed as far as what we're proposing. This was the concept plan that was presented in front of the Planning Commission that was unanimously approved. We're currently working on a detailed plan that is taking into considerations that some comments were made with some property owners at that meeting. That detailed plan should be filed this week with the city and considered at the Planning Commission and then bring before you in front of that. But just to specify what the detailed plan or the concept plan right now shows is let's start off where 31 is. There's right along 31 is the commercial outlots that will be part of the PUD. Those are right in the city of Franklin. We're committing to adhere to the overlay requirements, so we're not asking for any exceptions to those. As you move further west, we are contemplating a multi-family apartment development right there, which is being circled. And then you move a little bit further west, now we get into the single-family homes. The color coding has a legend to it that breaks down the lot sizes. So the dark brown that's right there near the multifamily apartments, those are 60 by 60 lots, and that consists of about 120 of those lots. As you move further west, we have 140 lots that are larger. Those are in the light brownish yellow color that are 124 by 75. Those are 140 lots. And then at the bottom, there, the white shade color is the largest lots, and those are 140 lots, and that's 46 by 80. So the common areas and the entrances will all be landscaped and development, and the sidewalks on both sides of the streets, the street lightings will be contained. As you move further west, you're also going to have a public park that will be dedicated to the city. That's most of the annex area, and that's consisting of a 28-acre park that lines along Brewer Ditch. We have identified the builder of the homes. That's going to be Lennar Homes. Lennar is going to develop all the 230 single-family homes. A bit of history about Lennar. They are a Fortune 500 company. They've been building homes since 1954. Built multiple areas through the Johnson County area. There's going to be two collections, if you will, that will be built on the subject lots. The first, as it's showing up on the slide, is the Venture Collection. That's the smaller lots, the 120 lots. Those are consisting of anticipated price points starting at $275,000 to $350,000. Square footage is going to range from a little over 2,000 square feet to 3,000 square feet on these. So you can see the examples. It's going to be different, not all the same looking, different kinds of streetscapes. That's the Venture Collection. The Cornerstone Collection, which is going to be the predominant most of the development, is the larger lots, and that's 170 lots. And that ranges from 1,800 square feet to 3,545 square feet. Those are going to be the larger homes. Price points starting at $350,000 to $450,000. You can see the little difference of on the slides as you go forward on the Cornerstone lots. Those have a little bit different variations on how those are shown. Examples of developments that Lennar's done around the area. If you go outside of Lawrenceville heading west on 144, there's the Morningside development. To the north, that is Lennar. That's the type of homes that are going to be proposed to be built here. It's not similar, if you recall, the development in Whiteland, that's the Grassy Manor. Those are the entry-level homes. Those are smaller. That's not going to be done here. The Morningside is more an example of the homes. If you go back to the concept plan, will be developed from more towards east to west. So we'll start that in stages. They won't be built all at once. There are going to be a variety of models for a variety of facades. On the concept with Lennar, they come with a lot of things built into the homes that aren't considered extras, such as other developments. In the Venture Collection, you're going to have smart devices such as Ring doorbells, Wi-Fi blocks with keypads, Wi-Fi thermostats, smart thermostats, 9-foot ceiling stainless steel appliances. You can see examples of the pictures inside. Flush mount LED lights, kitchen islands with overhangs, quartz countertops. As you go to the Cornerstone, those are going to be a little bit more high-end, and that's an example right there in front of you. They're going to have ceramic tile showers, brushed nickel faucets, ceramic backsplash, options for 3-car garage, along with all the other amenities that the Venture Collection have. We talk about the park for a minute. That's mainly subject to the annexation. You can see that's more zeroed in on the area of the park. As this council well knows, we have not had a public park on that area of the city for a long time. Norwood Farms has been out there by itself. There's been no area for people to identify and enjoy public space with the city. This fills that need. and it's a land that's being donated by the developer to the city at the no cost of the city. It's going to consist of approximately 28 acres. What we are requesting and what the Parks Department has, or Parks Board has approved is accepting this land with the concept that we're going to waive the park impact fees that would be subject to each home being put in there. In exchange for that, we would take that exact same amount and put that into improving the park. And what we estimate that would do is allow us to construct at our cost, which we would not have to bid out like the city would. A basic concept that would get the park going of trails that are shown outlined in red, which would be 10-foot asphalt paths, a parking lot with 2 entrances consisting of 18 to 20 parking spaces, a playground, which is labeled there as a play lot on the slide, which will consist of playground equipment and a dog park. When we talked to the Parks Department, they are excited about this project, and the Parks Director is as well. And the city would then turn around and contribute to enhance the park with his own money to put in the pickleball courts and the basketball courts, as you can see, along with some additional trails that are outlined in red. So the end product is a very nice park with 28 acres on the north side of Franklin, which, as this council knows, as you enhance and modify 31 in the next coming years, is going to be totally connected with downtown Franklin. So someone can take a bike in Noble Farms and get to downtown Franklin without having to use a car. That's a great end product. And this park would be a good center stone for the city to use on the north side. We would also, when the park and complex come online, and did also have asked, and the Parks Board has approved, to waive those park impact fees, and again, take that money and go into and develop the park further as the city would direct us to act on that. So the result would be 2 shots in the arm of direct monies by the park, donated by my client at our expense. We would build those improvements, again, without having to go through public bids or prevailing wage requirements. As I reflected, the City Park Board met on May 13, 2021, and unanimously accepted the park and adopted this plan contingent on the annexation and PUD being approved. And the Parks Director also supports this project. Let's talk about assessed value. If we go back to the map that shows assessed value, we think this is going to enhance assessed values of the surrounding land and also increase the tax revenues for the city. So start looking at the assessed value of what the new development will bring in. We think at the very minimum, if all the prices of the Venture and Cornerstone collections would be assessed at the minimum value, it would be anticipated prices of $275,000 for the Venture collection, and Cornerstone is starting at $350,000. If you compare that to the north side, the data that is supplied by the Johnson County Assessor's Office, if you look at Park Forest, the overall assessed value, average assessed value is $207,000, and the median average is $213,000. If you go further south, we parcel that data out to 2 areas in Park Forest that are closest to our development, and you see a little higher assessed value on average and median in Park Forest. If you move east to Knollwood, you have the overall assessed value at just under $140,000. And then if you go down, we made another section of Knollwood that's closest to our development, and it's a little over $140,000. So if you take that concept and go to the taxes, which, as you all know, the current taxes are low for our subject property because it's zoned as agriculture and there's no improvements on there. That current taxes collected total is $4,241.74 per year. Right now, land we're proposing to develop, which includes the annexation rate. So if you take our concept and say every house is built at the minimum that we're saying, which is $275,000 for the smaller lots and $350,000 for the bigger lots, that's going to generate an increase of tax revenue of $856,550 per year. If you go that further, the city gets 38% of that. So the city would get $325,000 a year in tax revenue after our development is fully developed. And then 50% of that $800,000 is going to go to the Franklin School Corporation, which equals about $428,000. So that's per year after we get this developed. It goes from $4,000 a year to several hundred thousand, almost $1 million in tax revenue a year that this is going to generate. We received support from the Franklin School Corporation on this project. Dr. Glendenning has tendered a letter that I submitted to the Planning Commission that's going to be up on the slide. It fully supports this project and recognizes the benefits of the tax revenues for the school. The current zoning that this is in, the annexation area is going to be brought in as agricultural. That's what it's going to be zoned at. The balance of the real estate is mixed zoning with a mixed-use community center on the part where towards 31, and the rest is RS1. All of that translates to we're going to be doing exactly what the current zoning is for. We're not changing the use of the zoning. Just putting in single-family homes and also multifamily and commercial on 30. Prior to today, we've met with city officials various times. We started this discussion over a year ago. We've had tech meetings through the Planning Commission in March, Parks Board meeting in May. The Planning Commission, as reflected already in the record, met on May 18th and unanimously approved this project moving forward on the concept plan of the annexation. We did meet with some of the persons concerned in Park Forest at the Beeson Hall on May 5th and heard their concerns, and we also made a presentation at the Planning Commission meeting, which we're taking into consideration. So in summary, along with the annexation, this overall project, I think is very positive for the city of Franklin. The request you to approve the annexation. The overall project is very positive. It received Park Board support, Parks Director support, the Superintendent support, the Mayor supports this project. So if you have to answer any questions, and hope to approve the annexation.
Mr. Mayor, I think you did a very good job of what you were asking me to do in terms of explaining. I'm so used to doing this, I assume everyone sitting here understands the process. Well, the process, it is for these types of things, and what is before this board tonight is the question of whether or not this property should be annexed into the city. What happens when there's a PUD, the first phase of the PUD at the planning commission level is that a developer comes in with a concept. It's truly just a concept. For instance, you saw a design there with regard to road connections and things, and in all fairness, you have the minutes for meetings, and so there were many people that were at the planning commission. Mr. Myerson, I think, was there, that they had some concerns about street connections, they had some concerns about drainage issues, those types of things. And you were not being asked to approve any of those things. That the concept comes before the planning commission, they is this where we should put housing, is this the concept we should do? And if so, the developer would go back and come out with a detailed plan. I believe, after the words that Mr. Nelson's mouth was, after that meeting, now they're going to come forward with the planning commission with a detailed plan. Hopefully we'll address some of those issues that the administrators have, or at least present it back to the planning commission. For you tonight, the question is whether or not this property should be annexed into the city. That is what you're being asked to do. That requires you to make a determination that a physical plan is available that would merit us rendering city services to this area. I believe that's the reason for the tax impact analysis to do that. By virtue of the fact that we are having a meeting on Tuesday rather than Monday, we can have a public hearing. It was published. It was also announced to the individuals that we would have a public hearing. So when Joanna pointed out to me that we are not 14 days because we are now Tuesday instead of Monday, I wanted us to go ahead and have a public hearing tonight, which you will then have to be asked to adopt the annexation of August 4th. It's August 2nd date instead of you'll have to require. So I hope that clarifies what I think the mayor was asking you to be clear on.
I just have one more thing to add on that. I know you guys have had tough annexation votes over the past couple of months. I think this one is different. It brings in the possibility of having a park on the north side. It doesn't involve any warehousing or industrial, those kind of things. It fits with your concept plan and master plan, so hopefully it's a little easier to see.
Yeah, yes, sir, it is a public hearing, so if
Yeah,
you'd
so,
like to ask anybody from the public to speak, certainly that's appropriate.
is there anyone else that wants to speak for the project? Is there anyone who wants to, you want to speak for or against?
Against.
Okay, so I'm getting there.
Okay.
Is there anyone who wants to speak against the project? Yes, ma'am.
And I think the appropriate question, sir, if I may, is against the annexation, because the project doesn't get approved here at this time.
Okay, then I may not be speaking correctly tonight.
That's okay, you're here, you get to your time.
Okay, my name is Brenda Moore. I live at 17 Aaron's Court, which is in Whiteland in Park Forest, and this will be in my backyard. I live at the Stump Road where they were wanting to connect, which Whiteland kind of knocked that down. So that's not going to go through. But I'm still concerned with this going in my backyard. I'm the only one on Aaron's Court that has a pool. And I've only been there, it'll be 3 years in September. I've cut down all the trees to my backyard because of the pool, because there's a lot of maintenance to it. I have MS, multiple sclerosis. I've had it for 25 years. This pool is therapy for me. And I don't really want people being into my backyard. It's going to be bad enough that we're going to have a park right there. And it looks like the trail is going to be coming up close to the dead-end street where I live, and Sam and Linda Alexander also live. So we just have a lot of concerns with that. The money that I've spent to have the trees taken down, that's money out of my pocket. And I don't want trees put back up for privacy. I'm gonna have to have a privacy fence put up as it is, more security cameras, because we all know how Knollwood is. There's a lot of riprap that comes through there. So my concern is this being in my backyard. And I know I'm not the only one with concerns. I know there's flooding issues that happen. I haven't been there long enough to see that issue, but I do want my privacy. And that's one reason I moved to Park Forest. It's a quiet, friendly neighborhood, and I want to keep it that way. I did go see the plans at Morningside, and they're beautiful homes, no doubt. But they don't compare to Park Forest when you have custom and semi-custom homes. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against? Okay, hearing none, I think I will
Close
close
the
the
public hearing.
public hearing at this time.
That's correct. And your vote then will have to occur, go ahead, Joanna.
So the adoption will be set for August 2nd meeting. The next thing would be the review and approval of the resolution for the fiscal plan.
Which can occur today.
Correct.
Yeah, so what we're asking is, do we need a public hearing for this?
We just need that.
Okay, that was it.
And again, to dovetail, the only question for you is whether or not annexation should occur. Should this be part, the land in question should be part of the city of Franklin. In order for you to make that determination that it should be part of the city of Franklin, you have to make a determination that fiscally we are able to provide services to those persons who will be future residents. Can we do police, fire? Can we provide this kind of services in our Willoughby School? So you can adopt the fiscal plan and delay the adoption of the annexation until your August 2nd.
This is 21-24, correct?
That's,
Yes.
yes, sir. Thank you.
I will move for approval of resolution 21-24.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second by Mr. Taylor, I believe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, the approval of the fiscal plan is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne.
Sir, I just need Mr. Austin's signature.
Okay, thank you, Jane. Okay, that gets us to new business.
Redo business by title only.
Second.
Second by Mrs. McGinnis, to read by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. First item, update volunteer opportunities, community partnerships, and upcoming events. I'm reading. with Education Connections.
Good evening. Thanks for letting us come in this evening and share an update on FEC as a part of our contract with the city. I don't have our latest grant cycle on there, but I wanted to start with that. We were really excited to see that we had a good amount of grant applications after last school year, and we were able to meet the needs of 13 of those grants, and it was just a little over $12,000. So that included things that were associated with COVID, like classroom storage, things like that, but then also the arts and curriculum enhancements. So we heard from teachers where there were gaps, obviously, with kids that were falling a little bit behind with the pandemic, and so they needed enhancements to that curriculum. So we were really excited to provide that opportunity to them. Moving on to upcoming events, we are excited for this coming October. We're going to host our first ever in-person 5K. And we are excited to have been collaborating with the city, the Parks Department, and also Discover Downtown Franklin. We're going to host that on the same day as the Hops and Vines Festival and hope to do some cross-promotion, kind of make it a PR where come to Downtown Franklin with the family for the 5K and then stay for the festivals. So we're excited to work with all three of those entities and very grateful for the support. So mark the date on your calendar for that. We also have our annual barn dance. It's every year at the barn at Crystal Spring Farm, with the exception of, obviously, 2020. This one's going to be a little later. It's going to be November 19th. The city is great and supports us every year for that as well. Longtime supporter. This will be our fifth year for that event. And then also, with gratitude, we have the Elks, who lets us use their space for our Buckboat event, which is attended by teachers. I know Mary Barnett, you've attended in the past. We weren't able to host it in March, so we bumped it up to September of this coming school year. So we always like to offer a wide array of people to come and support us and learn more about what we do. But we also have an important need on the volunteer side of the organization. I know I see a lot of familiar faces in here who know about First Scholars and Study Connection. And we have a need for mentors and volunteers in the community for both of those programs. So a quick summary of the programs is Study Connection is for our younger kiddos all the way up through middle school. And those kiddos are nominated by either a principal, a teacher, a counselor as a student who could use some extra help. And really it's more about the relationship between the volunteer and the student. The commitment there time-wise is 1 hour a week. You go to the buildings. We have some off-site locations for that too. The Franklin Police Department, Otterbein, and SK. But for this need, it's the folks who can go into the building and meet with that kiddo one-on-one for an hour. Our ask would be that you just share that within your networks, within your circle of friends. We need the volunteers all the time for the programs. Anyway, we wouldn't be able to do it without them. But I know this year it's more of an urgent need because the kids have more needs than they would have under normal circumstances. And the other program is our First Scholars program. That's for the high school students who are on track to be the first in their family to attend college. So it's a really neat program. Ryan Wagner came up with the program. This is its 5th year. So our first class graduated last year. And what that is a mentor in the community gets partnered with one of the high school students. The goal is to try to keep them in line with what their career aspirations are. So if they say they want to be a nurse, we try to find somebody who's a nurse and who can help them along. The goal is also that that mentor stays with that student for all 4 years. The time commitment is less for that. It's 1 hour a month you meet with the high school. And really it's a lot of career preparedness, professional advice, mentorship. They do some college site visits. Anything that we get back from either the volunteers on the Study Connection side or the mentors for First Scholars is that it's just more rewarding than they had thought. They signed up wanting to help a student and they got, just as much out of it. So I think we have First Scholar. Are you a First Scholar? No? Okay. Study Connection. Okay, I knew we had something.
Yeah.
So both of those applications, a summary of those programs are on our website. City of Franklin has my contact information. Our ask would be that you just, if you know of anybody that might want to serve or that you think might be a good fit, just bring it up with your next cup of coffee. And those applications can be found on our website. And then just a general thank you to the city for your continued support, letting us come in and share what we have going on, share our events, things like that. Do you guys have any questions? I know we have Dustin in the audience. He's our FEC president. Do you have anything you want to add?
Osage.
Thank you again. Just want to also point out that Ms. Odd is also a board member. She's also on the school board, and then Tara's a board member as well. Just wanted to thank the mayor and the council for your past cooperation and assistance for us. For the past 5 years, we've created an endowment, we've expanded our grants, and really established these programs to help the kids. Like everything else with COVID, as you guys well know, everything was on pause. We could not get volunteers in the school system, or we could not go off-site. And that created a huge gap that now that we've gotten the green light to start all those programs again this August, these kids need us now way more than ever because they were kind of on their own, especially all the kids we have for First Scholar Study Connection. They don't have the support system that I take for granted when I was growing up. So they really need us, and we're really looking for volunteers. So if you don't want to do it, that's perfectly fine. But think of people in your networks and pass those along to Tony, and it just takes one person, and then that person gives snowball to another person. So I appreciate any help you guys can give. You've been a very good partner for the last 5-6 years since we've been moving along. So.
Justin, and I know everybody's working about time, I am too. Before COVID, we was really looking for a good project moving forward, taking some kids to Japan to kind of keep that going with our sister city. And I hope down the road we keep that in the back of our mind in the next year or so. I think that some of the funds are still there. So
yes, we're going to look at restarting that project. It was all go, as the mayor says. We were all ready to go. We had kids interviewed, lined up. And we've got great partnerships and commitments from our companies here in Franklin that we're going to donate money as well. And we still think that can happen. We're just kind of waiting to see the dust settle a little bit more to do that. So that's good on my mind as well. We're always thinking a new project, just like this 5K we're going to try to put on. We're going to put on in October. We're always looking to just get our name out there, and the main goal is to help the kids. And we have a great partnership with the school corporation because we're a nonprofit, we're not the school corporation, but they're our primary benefactor, and the city has been great to help us as well. So I thank you for all your help.
thank you, Tony. Okay, that gets us to the next item, proposed I-65 County TIF report presentation by Mr. Adam Stone. And Krista and I thought that we had a lot of questions from the council. How's the I-65 County TIF going and where we're at? And Adam has put a lot of time into this, so we thought it would be good for Adam to come and give a presentation today.
Thank you, Mayor. Can everyone hear me okay? Good. So I trust that you all have an electronic copy of this, and I'll save you 30 pages of the PDF and just try to hit on a couple of the highlights here. So, I was hired by the mayor's office and the redevelopment commission to just come in as an independent voice and look at the impact of the proposed I-65 allocation area by Johnson County. So a little bit about myself. I've spent really my entire professional career as a CPA working on redevelopment finance in Indiana and nationally. I'm a Johnson County resident, so it was a good fit. So I approached this in a couple different functions. First, I wanted to talk to subject matter experts in economic development, because really, as you skim through the report, it becomes pretty clear that this is a future growth calculation. Okay, so we wanted to make sure to talk through with companies that are site selectors and companies that are actively investing in large industrial commercial facilities east of I-65. And so that was one of our core tenets. And this report then essentially is really a codification, or almost a memo, if you will, of all those conversations and all those findings, and present it back to you all. So really the background, I think, is important just for context and documentation. If you turn the page, one of the initial things that came up early on is the scale of the proposed area. So as measured in parcels, the original county proposed plan was over 3,000 discrete taxable parcels that included both industrial, commercial, and residential zoned areas. Relative to this report, it really focused primarily on the I-65 side. In the actual original plans, and if you followed local news, there was actually two proposed areas. There was the I-65 area, and then there was an I-69 corridor as well. The I-69 corridor just recently passed, and it's moving forward. There's continued conversations on the I-65 side. This report really just tries to communicate some points of consideration or some points of items of interest for the city itself. Really the next couple things I would point out in the document is we tried to also just log, it's actually the next page I believe, it's just all the city and county conversations. So what's become clear here is that you want to maintain that open communication, open dialogue. Obviously businesses are going to come locate in Johnson County. You want to try to make that a attractive place, whether or not they invest in Franklin or they invest in the county. So those relationships and those conversations have gone on and trying to make sure that the right plan of approach to develop the whole area, whether or not that's in a municipal jurisdiction or in an unincorporated area, ultimately we try to approach it as what's going to be the best for both jurisdictions going forward. So I guess the main takeaway is I think on page 8. So yep, right here. So after talking to site selectors, after talking to developers that are actually investing in that area, it's our recommendation that the city try to essentially work with the county to not pursue county TIF as proposed east of I-65. And there's a couple different reasons why. The report goes through that in detail, but the general takeaway was actually from one of the site selectors that we interviewed, actually made it very clear that businesses really locate on proximity, access to utilities, workforce, etc. And when you look at the proposed areas being contiguous to your existing municipal RDC boundaries, because of the way the tax would be captured and work, it really doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense to extend utility, provide utility access. So unless there's a interlocal agreement or some sort of agreement and structure, the investment in the pipe extension versus the additional user fees on its own sometimes creates upwards of 20, 50, 100-year payback periods. So it's really, municipal utilities almost ultimately exist for the purpose of economic development. They're the purpose of trying to reduce infrastructure costs. So the minute that you're not able to tax new development, be required to provide utility service, that creates the potential friction point. So ultimately, the report goes through and establishes those. I would encourage you to read through. There's various different interviews that took place as well with developers that are actively constructing out there, as well as various different exhibits on the projected impact, both annually to the city as well as the county. So again, I didn't want to bore you with all the details, but wanted to provide an update. Additionally, most current events is Johnson County's Aspire Economic Development Group is continuing facilitating conversations. Those are still yet to be scheduled. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, either within the report or the process in general, or even TIF in general, whatever you may have this evening.
You say Aspire has not scheduled any meetings at this point?
Yeah, so it's been scheduled and rescheduled a few times because of conflict. I think it was originally scheduled for Thursday of this afternoon and is getting rescheduled because of a conflict.
And we have had several meetings with Aspire and with you though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not the first time, Bob, just to clarify that.
Yeah, they've been ongoing. Yeah, this is just the next step. So it's an open conversation, and just wanted to provide the report to you all officially tonight. Certainly, city staff has my contact information, so if you have any questions throughout, certainly let us know. Understand that TIF is a huge tool for economic development, as well as utilities, as well as some of the community planning stuff that you had on your agenda tonight. So if there's any further questions, I'm happy to take those. Otherwise, happy to address any others in the future.
When Aspire does have these meetings, who do they plan to include?
Sure. So historically, it has been the direct representation of that unit. So in Franklin's case, it's been the mayor and his senior staff.
Okay, so basically, it's just, okay.
Now, Bob, and it's also county commissioner, county councilman, which the county councilman is on the RDC. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was at one of those meetings
Yes.
early on? Yeah.
The only reason I say that is, one would expect that a group with the mission that Aspire has would create somewhat of a countywide discussion regarding this that would engage as many people as possible.
I think, and I agree 100%, I think a little bit of what the problem has been, Johnson County is not part of Aspire. They want to be an economic development group, but they don't want to be a part of Aspire. So it's kind of confusing.
Any other questions for me?
Well, I know you spent a lot of time on this, and I saw your presentation at the courthouse a month or so ago. It was very well done.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to serve you all. I can also tell you I've had the pleasure, and I have the forehead to prove it, that I've seen most airports across the country, and I got the chance to work with city staff really the first time and work within your community for kind of throughout the project. And I got to tell you, it's great to work here. I popped up shop at your co-working space and patronized your coffee shop down the street. So it's a beautiful city to work in. I appreciate you providing that. I know for you all, you've invested a lot of money and time to make that, very productive. So I do appreciate that. You made it a fun project to be on. Certainly, I know there's a lot of parties involved in this, so we're just happy to try to be an independent voice to help you navigate. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's just also, you're probably wondering why we're not using Jeff Peters, who we always use for our financial stuff. Jeff was contracted early on by the county, not realizing where this was going, so he had started working with the county and thought it would be a conflict of interest, and he actually recommended Mr. Adam Stone. He recommended him to us, and I can't say anything but good, Adam, thank you for everything you've done, and we're not done yet.
Okay.
So anyway, I guess that'll move us on to the next item. Request approval to accept Purdue Pharma bankruptcy proposal. City Attorney Will Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You recall a couple of meetings ago, I came to you with the request that we consider opting out of the state's Attorney General's agreements for the opioid resolution, and I gave the reasons for that. That is not what this is. But as a result of us not participating in those, we continue to be a member of the class actions that is pending in the federal district court in Ohio. When those cases were filed, Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family filed for bankruptcy protection very early on in those processes. What happens when someone files for bankruptcy protection, then a bankruptcy judge then oversees claims that are made against that company. And then a plan is put in place as to how claims will be taken care of. As a result of that bankruptcy, the Sackler family and the shareholders of Purdue Pharma have agreed that they are going to place into an account $4.5 billion that will be paid to various creditors related to opioid claims. So before we get all excited about that number, we are but one very, very small entity in that whole group. And so I can't sit here in good faith and tell you that what, if any, amount of money we will see as a result of that. Because that also includes many individuals that have died, and many other kinds of companies. There are a lot of things that are affected by it. But however, because we are still part of the litigation, we are a participant in it. the way that the proposal is, that the plan has, is there are 18 different classes of people that are able, of entities that are able to recover some of that $4.5 billion. We are in class 4 along with all other municipalities that elected not to go with the attorney generals. We have until July the 17th to elect to accept the plan as it has been proposed. The attorneys for the various entities have suggested that we accept the plan, but I am asking for your authority to do that. Because we don't, we then have to sue them individually, or a bankruptcy judge can discharge the plan. So it made sense to those that have been intimately involved in this litigation for the last 2.5 years, and I bring it to you as I also support that proposal. I can answer any questions. Hey. So I told you what I know. I don't know what the future holds.
So you're asking the council to
Authorize me to authorize our attorneys to accept the plan as it is presented in bankruptcy.
I would so move.
Second.
Second by Mr. Taylor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for your consideration.
Next item, city council appointment to the Franklin Development Corporation, Community Development Director Chris Liberty. I see Amy Richards in the back there. So.
Very patiently waiting.
She's been very patient.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to bring to your attention that you do have an appointment as the city council to the Franklin Development Corporation Board. It's a 2-year term, and Amy has served in that position since August of 2017. And so her second term expires July 31st. And so just wanted to bring that to your attention. She has agreed to serve another term if you should so choose. But she is here and happy to answer any questions that you might have, and I am as well. But just wanted to get this taken care of before her term expired. Thank you.
So you need a motion?
Yes, is there any nominations for FPC board?
Besides Amy?
Besides Amy?
No, we'll start.
So I make a motion that Amy would continue her role on, as a city council appointment on the FDC.
Okay, is there any other nominations?
Amy, speak now or forever hold your peace.
So hearing none, the nominations are closed, so now we need a motion to appoint Amy to the next term.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Jones. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations.
It's a landslide, Amy.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking about just Franklin in general and where my heart is in Franklin. And I get asked a lot, what makes Franklin work? I get asked this a lot in circles outside of Franklin because people inside Franklin know what makes Franklin work. But my answer to everyone is always, it's the partnerships that exist in Franklin. It's between the mayor's office, the city council, the RDC, the FDC, the EDC. Everyone comes together in such a great way, and you see the results of it in such a big way in Franklin. So thank you for letting me be a part of it. Thank you for letting me work with such a great group of people with the FDC, people who have vision, people who are completely dedicated to Franklin and want to see Franklin be even better than it is today. So thanks.
Jimmy.
All right. So there isn't any other business. I know the last meeting I had a couple things, and the very next day, one of the things I talked about ended up in the newspaper, so I'm glad I brought that up the last meeting. So I don't have any other business. Does anybody else up here have any other business?
So is Amanda Otts for the redevelopment commission? Oh, that's a redevelopment commission, excuse me. All right.
That'll be on the redevelopment commission agenda on July 20th.
My fault.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Okay, so that gives us the council member comments. This is yours.
I don't have anything tonight. I know, right?
Ms. Gibb?
Well, this is under comments and loosely stated under comments, but when the presentation was made regarding the park up where the new subdivision's going in up there. You might consider having 8-foot basketball goals, which since Councilman Rynearson lives in that district, having an 8-foot goal would allow him to be able to touch the nets.
Maybe he's still done with a tennis ball.
Okay, we'll take that into consideration. Anything else, Bob?
No, that's enough.
Mr. Austin?
No. Well, other than the fact that I guess I'm the riprap that she's talking about, they commented about Old Farms, but, we lived there for 8 years and it was a good move for us. So Mr. Abbott continues to live there and he served our country as well as, the city for a very long time. So there's good people everywhere and there's bad people everywhere, whether it be Paris Estates or Knollwood, no matter where you live, there's people that are terrible. So,
People that are good. Congratulations, grandfather, again, here too.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. Mrs. Jones?
No, just kudos to the Parks Department and everyone that was involved with the 4th celebration. It's very well attended. I think everyone had a great time. The fireworks were awesome, both at Hillview and Parks Department. So it was a great event. They just keep growing and growing.
Mr. Ryder?
Yeah, she took the words right out of my mouth. So I know Chip's not here, but just wanted to thank him and the entire Parks Department. I spoke to a lot of people out there and we're just all very thrilled that the festivals were finally back. So everyone was excited, everyone was having a lot of fun. So thanks to everyone that helped out that.
Amy talks about the collaboration. Parks Department is where it starts, but the street department, police, and the fire, and everyone involved, they just did an awesome job.
They did.
So, thank you.
I concur.
I didn't even ask you yet.
Too late.
Okay. Mr. Taylor?
Same thing, Parks Fire, Brett Jones and his team did a great job, but they also, a lot of people have said that they love the idea of having 2 separate spaces to spread out and be able to have smaller cookouts and family, especially on the 4th of July too. And then wanted me to make sure that I noted that we need to have it in 2 separate spots. It's a lot, that everybody enjoyed that.
Okay, it's going to be your fault if it's not.
I'm blaming on Chip. He's not here.
Ms. Rhodes?
Nothing, sir.
Tara, do you have anything to say?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, Ms. Gray?
Well, I feel the need to defend Chris Rynearson's Tom's ability, but nothing else.
All right.
Not just encouraging.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, I think we're ready for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.